Hey there, I hope you're doing okay. I know that these are really crazy times and unprecedented times. And a lot of people have been reaching out to me because I do a lot of online work, and many of you are very concerned about your entire livelihood disappearing overnight as artists and creatives and many other people as well, of course. So I wanted to come on and share some of what I know. I'd like to share kind of the basics right now to get you started immediately, because I know that this stuff can feel very intimidating. And here's my best advice to you right now is keep it simple and work with what you already have. You can actually get started pretty much right now, even with a very, very basic setup. And for me, my mantra during this moment is community and creativity. Being in touch with people is crucial. Be in touch with your community, be in touch with your students, your collaborators. This is much more important than worrying about spectacular video production qualities or even audio quality. Honestly, the thing is, we want that community and connection. The other part is the creativity. Be creative about this. Look at what you already have in your house that you can use. Know that you are going to be learning how to do this stuff, and have a little patience with yourself. Be creative. Just for all your endeavors, your artistic endeavors, your other endeavors, you don't expect to master them immediately, but you do take those first steps and you start working through it. And so I have a lot of faith in you that you can do this. And I'm going to keep this very, very simple. I do plan on making some more videos, but just to get this information to you right away, because I'm actually getting fairly inundated with messages and there's a need. So just to give you some background about myself, my name is Diana Rowan, and I'm a musician and an author. And I've done a lot of online work. I've done huge summits online that have had thousands of attendees. I also do about 95% of my work online. I teach one-on-one, I teach groups, I teach courses. I have a very active membership program called Bright Knowledge Harp Circle, and I've been doing this for years, so I do know what I'm talking about, we can say. But on the other hand, I don't really consider myself a big techie person, so you might relate to me, and I definitely relate to you, because I was very intimidated about this stuff at first. So just to share with you some of my ideas, I'd like to reiterate that no one expects perfection from you right now. What they really want is to be connected with you, and that you are creatively engaging with them, with your students, with your collaborators, with your audiences. They want to hear from you, and they really need to hear from you right now. I think that we have the opportunity for paradigm shift right now. Let me just come right out there and say that. And to reestablish why community is so important. We're obviously completely connected to each other. Borders do not mean anything at this time. We hunger for connection with each other, and we can do this online. We can have genuine connections, and I honestly feel my connections with my communities very, very clearly. I feel them as real relationships, which is what they are. I know in the past, and even a few years ago, these relationships felt much more distant, but now the barrier is down, and they feel real, they feel genuine. So nobody expects perfection, and again, it's all about the content rather than production values. I know you're going to hear from people saying you should use this lighting and this mic and that stuff. Listen, just get started is what I say. So let's start with what you have. And again, all of this, remember, take your time to learn it. Do get started. Don't expect perfection, and don't expect to get it all right the first time. You may go on a Facebook Live and it crashes immediately or something like that. Don't worry, just keep going. So let's talk about what you have right now at home. You probably have a computer of some sort, and I'm going to tell you, I run my entire empire on a MacBook Air from 2015. Yes, it's true. That's what I do. People think I have this really fancy setup. I really don't. In fact, I'm going to turn the camera so you can see what it looks like. That's it. And that's my messy desk. And those are my notes right now that I just wrote now. So this is it. Post-its, key to my entire thing. And actually, here's my house. So All right. So I'm running this off of a laptop. You can honestly run things off of your phone as well. Phones have incredible camera quality these days. Mine's very dirty, as you can see. So, in fact, this camera has much better. This is what is this? An iPhone 10. This has a better camera than what I'm using right now. So you can also use your tablet. So probably you have one of those things. So you can start using that right now to be connected. Next thing, what is your actual connection? Wi-Fi and then the router. Now, Wi-Fi, I think you all know how to get on that pretty easily. As we know, it can be kind of sporadic. So it does help to be connected directly into the router, if you know what that is. That's connected right into your sort of Wi-Fi broadcaster in your house. Now, some people don't have a router. They're running off someone else's Wi-Fi, or you are somewhere else outside your house. That's fine. Just go with the Wi-Fi. Now, if you want the router, I'm going to actually show you what my router looks like. Plugged in. Where am I? Sorry. There it is. Plugged right in there. So that's it. You know, very, very simple. Now, what does the router do? It makes you, plugging directly into the router makes you run much faster. So if you are in a situation where you don't have fast Wi-Fi, plug straight into the router. You will need a cable to do that. So other things to make you run much faster, switch off all the other apps while you are using whatever connection platform you're going to use, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So for instance, if you're going to use Zoom, switch off Google Chrome and all those browsers for sure, because Zoom runs on its own app, which is fantastic and a huge benefit over using live streaming via YouTube or Facebook, where you are going to probably have to have Google open or some other browser. Those browsers really eat up a lot of the memory on your computer. So if you are using something like Zoom, you can just use that one app and you will go much faster in your connection. What does that mean? It means that the sound will be better, the latency will be better. So the latency is the delay. I'm sure you've all experienced being on a call where there's a delay in the image or even the audio. So image tends to go down first because image takes up a lot more bandwidth. So you want to speed things up. And what are you going to do? You're going to switch off your apps as much as possible. Try to run through only one app if possible. Now, if that's not possible, don't worry. Just run with everything. You know, the key is don't try to make this perfect. There is no perfection in this situation. And besides which, in general, technology improves every day. So who knows, you know, could be next month, everything's running super fast. I don't know. So also give this advice to the person on the other end of the line. So if you are running a lesson, for example, and your student has a super slow connection, ask them, can you hook into the router? Can you switch off the other apps on your computer? This kind of stuff. Okay, so moving on to accessories. So on your phone and on your laptop, you do have inbuilt mics and cameras, so you can get started right away. Now, these aren't the best necessarily, but it doesn't matter. Do use them. Don't wait for getting the perfect mic or the best camera you can possibly get. That said, I will show you some options. Your sound will actually dramatically improve on your computer if you plug in your headphones or your AirPods. Now, AirPods are really, really good if you're going to be moving around. So for instance, my friend Michael will be giving a yoga class and he's going to be moving around, so online. And so I don't want him to be using a mic. I want him to use the AirPod because it's right there on his face. So no matter how he's moving, the sound won't change. Now, headphones, AirPods, Is that what they're called? You can also use an external mic like this. This is an iMic by Apogee. I really like this mic because it's tiny. This is the size of my hand. And it has different types of plugins. So it can plug into your computer and it can plug into your phone and your tablet. So it gives different plugs. So you can take it anywhere. And this really improves the sound greatly. Now that I'm very hard on my mics, I change the cables all the time. So the cable is actually broken right now for my computer. So I have another mic and I decided to upgrade to this kind of a mic, which looks rather questionable. But this is a Yeti Blue and it has a really good sound quality, I think. So this plugs straight into my computer. There's no other interface. So let me show you. Here we go. Get seasick. Remember, we're not about perfection. There it is, plugged in right there. That's it. So you don't have to worry about getting a mixer or anything like that, okay? And I oftentimes get gear on eBay, to tell you the truth. I oftentimes get used gear because people buy gear and never use it. And so these come in pristine condition and I feel like I'm recycling, which is cool. And also if I don't like it, then, you know, I'm not out a huge amount of money. Because I understand money will be possibly a concern for people. And so there are ways to get this gear at good prices, secondhand, and I like it, you know. So those are my thoughts about mics. Now, there have been questions about giving concerts and so on online. You want to be careful to use a mic that is what we call omnidirectional. These are quite directional mics, meaning you want to talk like this. And even here, I'm not being ideal because I'm not letting this mic be right in front of me. But what directional means is it's picking up just here, this way. It's not picking up everything. Now with music, it tends to be it's just, pan-harmonic situation where we're having lots of sound everywhere. And so you'd want to be looking for what's called an omnidirectional mic. So you may find like something like this may actually make your sound worse a little bit compared to a computer inbuilt mic, weirdly enough. You can experiment with this. I mean, no matter what, I do believe at this moment with live streaming of any sort, sound is compromised. There's no doubt about that. And so recording concerts and so on beforehand and using really nice setups, such as what I'm doing right now, I'm using QuickTime. So QuickTime is a video recording platform and it records at better quality. It's free, it comes with a Mac, and I'm sure that, if you have Windows, there's probably something very similar inbuilt. And so you can use that for your more high quality lessons. So for instance, I use QuickTime to record all my trainings in my harp circle. I use them for all my video courses. But if I'm doing a very informal kind of talk, so for instance, in my circle, I pop in and I talk about a certain subject. I will use Facebook Live in that case, but I know it's lower quality. So just some thoughts on that for people who are thinking about concerts. You might consider pre-recording what you have. I understand that has less resonance, in some ways because it's not live. So sometimes the live vibe is worth it, for the lower sound quality. So balance things out. The thing is, if you do a live broadcast, you do have the opportunity of interacting on chat with your people, and that can be a beautiful thing as well. So again, don't get overwhelmed by any of this. Just use what you can, whatever your current situation is. So I'm trying to offer the most easy options and then a little bit of an upgrade if you want. But remember, people want to feel community and creativity right now. It's not about perfection. Whenever was it, actually? All right. Mics, camera. So we've got the inbuilt camera. I also like to use a webcam, and I wish I could point it at you. I have another one actually, but I lent it to a friend. So what I'm using is Logitech 930, and that just plugs straight into your computer again, and it's ready to go, and I love it. It's recording very nice quality, and actually it does have an inbuilt mic that is a step up from what's already on the computer, a step below any of the other mics I told you about, but still a lot of value. And you can find those also on eBay for like $80 or so. But again, don't let that hold you back. Just use your computer if you don't have something like this. Another big item of controversy is lighting. The perfect lighting. Listen, people just want to see you, okay? So you can eventually optimize your lighting, but right now just get started. And believe it or not, one of the best lightings is just natural lighting straight from a window. So if you sit as close as possible to a window and let the light come in, it's surprisingly good. The next option would be a desk lamp. So let me just show you again. Over there on my desk, there's a little lamp. You can see the one pointing down. If you point that at your face, you'd be amazed at how good it looks. And then if you want to upgrade yet again, you could do what's called a ring light, which is this thing right here in front of me. And that gives this really nice, even light all over you. But don't worry about it. You know, if you don't have one of these yet, I've been doing this for a long time, and I didn't have everything at first either. So you can start simply by looking straight at the window. You've got your laptop or whatever camera right in front of you, obviously, and then the light shines on your face. If it's at night and you're going to make your thing, just use a desk lamp and shine it right on your face. You can do a test run and take a look. Most likely it'll be fine. So people usually have those things available in their house somewhere. The most important thing with lighting really is that it be bright. Try to get it as bright as you can without like blowing out. Like if I brought this really close to me, I'll start going completely white. My face will actually kind of disappear. So platforms, let's get on to platforms. I use Zoom a huge amount. I rely on Zoom so much for one-on-one lessons, for group lessons, for chatting, even for connecting with my family. So I actually did 23andMe, and I scheduled with my entire family lives in Ireland. I scheduled to open the results doing screen share. And they were all logged on. I could see all of them, and we clicked on the link and we all opened the results together, and that was pretty fun. And I found out we're nearly 4% Neanderthal and like 97% Celtic, and they couldn't tell what the other 2% was. I'm hoping alien, but we'll see. Okay, Zoom. I'm not going to go through like a product review right now because there's so many Zoom tutorials, but the power of that thing is unbelievable, and it really does run fast compared to other platforms, and that's a critical issue, is speed. And it even seems to compensate for people who have very, very poor Wi-Fi connections. You can even call in by phone on Zoom. You can do screen shares. And here's one of my favorite things that I love to do is record lessons. As we're doing the lesson together, we see each other, we're playing away, it's beautiful, we're both on screen, and we are having a recording at the same time. And at the end of the lesson, they get the recording and they don't miss a minute of lesson. So it's actually, to me, super high value situation, because we all know that in lessons we don't take everything in, we don't remember everything. If you have a recording, you actually remember every single minute, and you notice things that you didn't notice the first time. So honestly, in some ways, I do find that by having a recording, it's a superior experience to live. Now, there are also, of course, the fact that you can't be touching hands and stuff like that. That is not so ideal. But there are checks and balances, right? You know, I do think it's a very, very valid way to teach, is to work online. So I know you may have objections if you haven't done it before, but give it a try. I mean, I I'm a technique maniac. I love technique, and still I can teach it online. And not only that, consider the other things that you can teach. You can finally get around to teaching music theory, finally get around to teaching music history. I do a huge amount with performance anxiety, getting through that. In fact, my book is hugely based on that, and I learned a great deal, probably most, from all my online work, because I can actually, have access to hundreds and thousands of people and all their experiences. And so we get, add up all that wisdom. Wow. So many people sharing their stories. I'm not just looking at a few people. I'm looking at many people, and we're all learning together. So really it can get quite an exponential type of speed, going on and sharing. So another thing actually with Zoom is you can also do breakout rooms. And so I've done this where I've done online retreats. And so to say there's 10 people on the retreat and we can all see each other on Zoom. And then I'm like, okay, I'd like to do breakout rooms. And I can select 5 rooms, say. You can actually select many rooms, I believe, and pair people up and put them in separate rooms. So we get little pairs and they all disappear off the screen for me. And all they see is each other, the 2 people, and they can talk. And then I send a message. I'm like, I'm calling everybody back in now, and then 5 minutes, and there's like a tick down, and then they come back into the group as a whole. It's really a beautiful feature. So we can get like these, smaller group experiences, even with a big gathering. If you want to see an example of a bigger gathering, I had to do my book talk for LA that was supposed to happen on Thursday. I had to do it online, which was great, and I used Zoom. So if you go to my Facebook page for Brightway Guild, you'll see that book talk was recorded, and we had 22 people on it, and we talked and interacted. There's a chat feature. Zoom is so powerful, and it's only $15 a month, which I just can't believe. So you can actually have a free account, but then you are limited to, I think, 40-minute sessions. And oftentimes, when I do the monthly live Q&As within my circle, those last for 3 hours. So, the $15 is just, to me, phenomenal. Some people have asked, are doing FaceTime lessons a good thing? It can be, but you can't really record the same way. You don't have at all the same power of sharing documents, because that's another thing you can do on Zoom, is share scores with each other and download them one side to another, and you'll see that happening in the book talk. So I think FaceTime lessons can be a good stopgap in a way, but I would say that Zoom is a far superior experience for everybody involved. So people have been asking me what platforms I use to host things. So that's like my permanent storage space for videos. So remember when I said about recording videos, what do you do with them? Where do you put them? Well, I have used 2 platforms so far. I ran my virtual summits, and currently I'm running my membership program, The Circle, on Thinkific. Thinkific is a content management system. And so what that means is it stores all your videos, and you can organize them in nice lessons, and it's a much more pleasant experience for the end user as well as yourself, in terms of everything is laid out with a certain time frame. So Thinkific would be something more if you are going to be having courses and very ongoing communications. So with my membership program, we have new trainings every month, and we keep all the old trainings organized as well. So I really do need a system like this. If you are only using something like one-on-one lessons, you wouldn't really need something like Thinkific yet, and you can host your videos either on Vimeo or you can host them on, you could do a private channel on YouTube, things like that. So there are free options that you can do right now, and Vimeo would be one of my favorite. So that's vimeo.com. So I also use Kajabi now, and that's kind of where I'm going with my online presence. It really is a great platform for consolidating everything, your website, your courses, your membership program, everything. It's a higher cost item. So again, unless you're planning immediately on becoming like a power user, don't worry about Kajabi yet. But you might start learning about it and see if it's going to be right for you. Part of my problem with Thinkific was I had used custom code inside Thinkific to make everything super nice, but then it trapped me because then I couldn't update to the latest versions of it. So I'm actually stuck in an older version of Thinkific, and the newer version is much prettier. So that's partly what brought me over to Kajabi. As well as that I could run my entire website on Kajabi. So actually, if you go to my website, dianarowan.com, it's actually Kajabi that's running the entire thing. And you can click around and see, about my book and my music and everything. And you wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this is actually a content management system running this whole thing. But it is, and I used to use WordPress, but I'm out of that. I couldn't handle it. Okay, next. For any of these platforms I'm talking about, by the way, do watch tutorial videos by other people who go into these things step by step. I'm just giving you options right now and telling you what I use and what I think is the best way to approach them, as a person who's an artist and not necessarily a very techie person. So, because I know many of you are in the same boat. Okay, live streaming is certainly something you can do. You can do it on Facebook, you can do it on YouTube, and the benefit is it happens right away. You reach a lot of people right away. You can interact with your audience right away. These are good things, and it's actually not very hard. So I would look into live streaming. Not so much for teaching, because it's public. Live streaming is mostly public, or at least a lot of people have access to it, even if they're within your private group. For one-on-one teaching, I would definitely limit it to something like Zoom, because one-on-one teaching is pretty confidential, and I like to keep it as private as possible. Regarding community building, I'm going to have to say that Facebook is still king. I live in Berkeley, California, and we are, very radical in many ways, and I know there's many objections to Facebook, but there's nothing like it for getting your community together. So I'm going to say I highly recommend it for your community groups and your interaction. You can use another platform like Discuss, and it's going to become a ghost town. I can almost guarantee it. I've done it. Don't do it. Use Facebook. I know. You can tell me every objection, and I totally agree with you. But this is where we are right now. Regarding taking payment, use PayPal or Venmo. You can also integrate Stripe. Stripe is integrated into Thinkific and Kajabi. There might be a way to do it in Zoom, I'm not sure. Easy to take online payments, so don't worry about that. Let's see, if you have no connection at all, internet connection, what do? Pre-record videos and send them back and forth to each other. You can send them over Wi-Fi whenever you happen to be in a library or a cafe. You can even send them over other types of connection. It does get tricky, I have to admit. I'm mainly thinking, if you don't have a strong enough Wi-Fi for live streaming or Zoom or something like that, what can you do? You can send videos, but you'll still need some kind of connection, right? But consider pre-recorded videos as a stopgap measure. So what else? I do believe community is essential to all of this. I know I've said this a few times, but it's all about sharing the material right now with your students, with your audiences. Don't go into silent mode. I know you may not feel that you're presenting yourself in the way that you would like to, in the sense that, all the production values you'd like to have. But I think the connection is more essential than that. And people will be grateful to hear from you. And especially, don't forget, they're stuck at home too. So your students want to hear from you. Your audience wants to hear from you. Just do the thing. I know that we take pride in our work and we want it to be the best scenario, but this might be the best scenario right now. So just jump in. In terms of reaching out to your audience, use your email list as much as possible. Email is the best way to reach people. Facebook chokes a lot of your posts and your communications, so don't rely on Facebook and other platforms. Use your email list, but do talk on Facebook, of course, but just don't rely on it. You may want to do some boosted posts for a little while. I'm not an expert on this. I don't do a huge amount of that, but it can get your posts out in front of your audience that you already have, So those would be my recommendations. So using your email list and Facebook, of course you can use Instagram as well for awareness, and YouTube. So if you want to think about it this way, what I believe right now is Instagram is your audience building platform. YouTube is like a search engine. So anything you share on YouTube, think of it as from the other person's perspective. What are they searching for? Are they trying to learn about Arabic modes? Put that in the title of your video. And Facebook is really the audience who's going to sign up with you. They are the ones that are going to purchase your book. They are the ones who are going to sign up for lessons. So think about those three platforms that way. This is a huge topic, so just do something right now. Don't worry about mastering this, because as soon as you master it, it changes anyway. So email list priority, followed up by Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Probably prioritizing Facebook right now, to tell you the absolute truth. Could be different next week. Okay, I've been getting questions also about income streams. Obviously, teaching is huge. Teaching is something people will need right now. It's going to give them great comfort. It's going to give them something to do. It's going to give them a sense of connection and creativity, all those good things. You can teach one-on-one. You can teach in small groups, big groups. Teaching is essential right now, I do believe. And so tapping into what are your teaching messages. What are you teaching right now? What can you teach people? And again, I said earlier, this could be a time to talk about those topics we tend to not go into that deeply. Theory, history, philosophy, these things that we can talk about, that we tend to not, because we're kind of focused on, learning songs or writing things, or, the doing part. We can actually now is pull back and do also more of the quite deep topics. So I think there's great benefit there. Recordings, we know the music industry is very spotty in that regard, but I do think people are having a lot of sympathy for artists right now, and so there may be more of a drive towards people supporting artists via their recordings. So put them out there, and people certainly can only watch Netflix for so long, I keep hearing, so hopefully they are listening to music, and so put your stuff out there. Also consider doing things that are like meditation and comforting recordings. Great hunger for that. Books, and here I am with my book. Can you believe that this all happened the second week of my book being released? I spent a year and a half writing this. But this is the reality of life. And so if you have books, ebooks are great because they can be downloaded immediately. Deliveries are still happening, so you can order physical books. If you want to order my book, it's at dianarowan.com/book. And it's all about how to tap into your creativity and follow through with it, which I think is a timely message for right now. If you do live concerts, you also can ask for concert donations and reassure people that even a couple bucks helps. Because with these online audiences, you can actually get very high attendance. And so a couple bucks really does add up. And, you know, it makes them feel good, makes you feel good. Why not ask? And it's a donation, it's not an obligation. You know, I think in this paradigm shift, we are finding whole new opportunities for supporting each other and whole new appreciation for what we do as creatives. So, you know, put it out there. And I'm going to talk further about all of these things. I want to keep this short. It's already 35 minutes long. Okay, I'm going to, see, my top is falling off. You don't have to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. It will stop you from reaching out to your students, to your audience, to your community, and we need each other right now. So remember, my mantra right now, and maybe it'll become yours too, is community and creativity. We can connect this way. We can be creative this way. We build community this way. Don't try to be perfect. Keep it simple. Work with what you already have right now. And let's do this. I know it's crazy times, and I also have hope that it's a time that we really come together and understand how important we are to each other, what connection really is, and that we come to feel what are the things that really matter most to us. And I think we're feeling this hunger for our creativity and for beauty, and so I think we all have cause for great hope. So log off right now. Let me know how it goes, what you do. Let's keep this conversation going, and I will come back at another time with kind of the next level of this stuff.